Okay, I'm with Darren. Our first venture into Step 4 football today obviously didn't pan out quite as you would have hoped it would have done. But what were your overall thoughts on the game and the experience and how we did them, where we went right and where we went wrong?
This will be the really quickest interview we've ever done, Gal, quite possibly. Especially if we concentrate on the bits we did right.
Yeah.
No, do you know what? Hugely disappointing day. I think we showed a massive amount of naivety today. I thought we looked a bit lethargic, whether it was the heat, whether it was complacency because they lost a man early. I don't know. But you know, I feel like today we were very poor, and Uxbridge, you know, moved the ball better, kept on working the areas, and you know, arguably probably deserved it. You know, they've created the better chances. Yeah, we just weren't ourselves today by any shape, manner, or form. So, you know, I can't sit here and look at anywhere else apart from at the group.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, for me, we started off quite well, and I thought until they had a man sent off, we were probably the better side. But once they had the player sent off, their game management came into play, and they sort of really took the sting out of anything that we wanted to do. Admittedly, our tempo was poor, but we never really stretched them. We never really caused them any problems.
No, you're right. And sometimes losing a man early doesn't hurt you. I think they quickly adjusted their shape, adapted, closed down, compressed the ranks, got their banks in place, and knew what their game plan was. And we struggled to breach it in the first period. You know, although we had a good chance that was pretty tamely struck directly at the keeper. You know, where it was a good goal scoring opportunity. Other than that, we haven't really asked enough questions of them today. So, you know, just massively disappointed. And obviously the sendings off. Well, I'm not even going to talk about them today. We'll talk about them another time. I was more concerned about the injuries, you know, to Michael at the end, where we've had to stretch him off and looking at, you know, how bad that is. So, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we won't talk about the sendings off. I mean, I guess I say that and then go on to talk about them. I guess the only thing with them is that they weren't discipline issues. They were more mistimed.
Yeah.
One's a mistimed challenge, one's frustration. So it's not like your players have lost their heads in any way.
No, I meant what I said, Gail. I'm not talking about them.
That's fair enough. You know, I'll always try and get you to say some kind of...
Do you know what? And it will land me in hot water because really, three sendings off in that game today. Really? Anyway, should we move on?
Anyway, let's move on. We had 3 debutants out there at the start in Nyron, Ryan and Jake Hill.
Yeah.
How did they do for you?
Yeah, Jake was unorthodox. We had to switch him to a wide left position today, you know, due to a few injuries and issues in the warm, you know, in the sort of lead up to today in the warm up period, which is not his strongest position. You know, he's a defender first and foremost. I thought Nyron had quite a solid game at the back for us. You know, didn't really do a lot wrong. He was quite good in the air. In fact, probably aerially was strong for us off a couple of their set pieces. It's hard to look beyond. You know, it's hard to look beyond that really and think, did anyone else? I don't know whether it's. Do you know what? I'm still letting today sink in, Gal, because really, truthfully, it feels a bit of a shell shock.
Okay, well, seasons aren't defined over the opening game, mate.
No.
And we know that for the first 3-4 games, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. The tempo will need to be better. We just need to adapt, and we need to adapt quickly.
Yeah, I know, and you know what? And we can, we certainly can. And we're missing players. So, but I don't want to harp on about that because I'm sure everyone's in the same boat at the moment. You know, you mentioned about the 3 debutants today. Ryan Healy, I thought, you know, again, it's probably been a bit harsh on him really because I was kind of skirt over is because of the sending off, which I thought has kind of annoyed me a little bit. Only because I felt that the referee was always likely to try and even it up after giving them one.
Okay.
And I think we should have managed that situation better. But you know, he's put in a fair shift, and you know, up until that point, he hadn't done an awful lot wrong. So I think you're right. I said to the boys before the start of the game, you know, the season's not defined in the first 5 minutes. In the first one game, in the first 3 or 4 games, but obviously you need to address the areas that are wrong or need tweaking pretty quickly, because we know when you're at the top end of the table, the gap suddenly looks quite big quite quickly, looking down on the teams below you. And similarly, we don't want to be at the bottom end of the table looking up and the gaps fairly big there, because psychologically that can be a mountain to climb. So
yeah, it's when you look up and a win doesn't get you up the table, that's when you start thinking that's not a good position.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess already we've got to change our mindset now, to prepare for Saturday's trip to Stenning in the FA Cup. So that's going to be a different mindset again, I guess.
Yep, very true, and that'll be a tough game. They're unbeaten this season.
Yeah.
They've obviously played 3 or 4 league games, had the 2 FA Cup matches against Pagham. So
I think they'll be a good outfit. I haven't, I don't know much about them, but I suspect from the little bit of information I've had, we've had a bit of feedback on them. They'll try and play, obviously on a synthetic pitch.